Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's Meet the Analyst webinar, The Power of Generative AI in the Buyer's Journey. I'm your host, Jeremy Goldman, Senior Director of Client Briefings at Insider Intelligence and our global headquarters in Times Square. And I'm joined by my colleague, Principal Analyst Kelsey Voss in Seattle. Hey, Kelsey, great to have you here.
Hey, Jeremy, it's great to be here today.
Yeah, and before we get into the main presentation, I'd like to thank Adobe for making today's webinar possible and welcome Karthik Muralidharan, Principal Product Marketing Manager at Adobe. He's joining us from San Francisco. Hey, Karthik.
Hey, Jeremy. Excited to be here.
Happy to have you. And a few things before we dive in. We have a ton of information to share, but there's no need to take notes. If you'd rather not, we'll email you a link to view the slides and a full recording of today's presentation right after, but we do want you to participate. Just use the chat window on the right of the video feed to submit questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll get to as many as we can during the Q&A at the end of the session. So with that, Kelsey, let's get started.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeremy. This is an incredibly exciting time for marketers. Generative AI has been around for a while, but with the recent releases of Midjourney and DALL-E 2, and of course, OpenAI's ChatGPT, a revolutionary transformation is underway for marketers in the way they engage and interact with their audiences. So today we're going to walk through how GenAI has emerged as a powerful tool for marketers and their brands. We've broken down the buyer's journey into 5 familiar stages: awareness, engagement, purchase, retention, and advocacy. At each stage, I'll share how GenAI is transforming the customer lifecycle, both from a customer-facing perspective and behind the scenes. I will also share use cases at each stage to better understand the impact of GenAI in practice. So I think you're all here today because you already know that GenAI is making an impressive impact, but maybe you're still curious about how this ever-evolving technology has the potential to provide a more personalized and beneficial customer experience, how it can improve productivity, and how it can ultimately boost sales and revenues for businesses. Let's start with how marketers are seeing favorable results in GenAI. In a March 2023 survey by Botco AI, marketers said the top benefit of using GenAI for content creation is increased performance. Then half the respondents reported increased creative variety, and 47% reported faster creative cycles.
You know, Kelsey, just to quickly jump in, I think that's really interesting because a lot of the narrative around this has been all about cost efficiencies, and generative AI will let you do things 5 times faster, really cheap, and everything. And it seems like from this data, at least, that the performance is really the story here.
That's absolutely correct, Jeremy. We see that GenAI is really about how this technology is supporting and enhancing and improving the work that marketers do with their content and campaigns. And we will see later on how optimizing marketing performance can also help brands create personalized, seamless experiences that resonate with their customers. But speaking of costs, investing in GenAI is definitely paying off. 2/3 of marketers surveyed by Botco in this survey reported a positive return on investment, with 43% saying they experienced a 2x ROI and 22% saying they received a 3x ROI. So now let's dive into how GenAI tools, frequently in combination with other AI or machine learning technology, are transforming the customer lifecycle. So from the very beginning, GenAI is reshaping the buyer's journey. It can help attract potential customers by creating these personalized content and responding in real time to a particular pain point, problem, or desire, building a faster connection between the brand and the buyer. So from the customer-facing perspective, GenAI can deliver social media advertisements with eye-catching images and video ads that evoke specific emotions. These ads can have more detailed, engaging storylines, more so than traditional ad creation methods, and can build that faster connection between the brand and the future buyer. GenAI can also offer hyper-personalized content with specific language, terms, and phrases that resonate with potential customers. And using GenAI can enable brands to proactively stand out from the competition before the buyer has even begun to compare different brands. And behind the scenes, GenAI can help marketers to brainstorm and develop themes and subjects. It can create marketing collateral and support content marketing activities and plans for digital and content marketing campaigns. GenAI can optimize content for new customer segments based on select criteria and then personalize marketing efforts and help brands establish themselves within these segments. And GenAI can make quick content optimizations such as spot and fill in gaps in the copy when comparing it with, for instance, a competitor's content. GenAI can generate millions of keywords based on criteria such as search volume, trends, or competitor content to help content rank high in search and drive traffic to a brand's website. In an ERA survey conducted 6 months ago, marketers reported on how they were using AI content tools. Their responses, such as optimizing existing content, brainstorming, and generating keywords, support much of what is needed for marketers to perform well at the awareness stage. And the benefits just continue to grow as the technology continues to evolve. Our first use case today is with the marketing firm Brand Muscle. They work with companies that are highly regulated with strict compliance guidelines. Their GenAI solutions can ensure the outputs meet expectations and mitigate risk and liability as much as possible. They work with insurance brokers and agents like Allstate and heavy equipment manufacturers like Bobcat selling through dealers. Within Brand Muscle's suite of AI-based solutions, these brands are making an impact at the awareness stage. They can quickly create AI-generated, high-quality content without human input while ensuring brand compliance and voice. This can be done with text-based content creation, visual ads, and real-time digital media optimization based on third-party data, such as weather. GenAI can increase engagement, help buyers make better informed decisions, and move buyers closer to a purchase in a number of ways. From the customer-facing perspective, GenAI can provide product descriptions and information based on preference and consumption behavior. For example, show copy that emphasizes the sustainability features of a product for one buyer and maybe the technical details for another buyer. GenAI can offer relevant product comparisons, customer reviews, and testimonials to help buyers evaluate their options. And GenAI can deliver timely recommendations personalized to specific needs, budgets, and preferences. Behind the scenes, GenAI can repurpose valuable content into different formats that may be more appealing to certain buyers, such as creating a blog post from a white paper. It can extract the most relevant and valuable information from the white paper, for instance, main concepts and quotes, and change the tone to match a blog format. GenAI can create more customized email copy and images for retargeting display ads. And GenAI can help to understand the buyer's languages and expectations for more personalized responses.
You know, actually, Kelsey, one thing about that, just to jump in, is I've seen that to be a very powerful aspect of generative AI that a lot of people who are playing around with it on a surface level haven't really thought about that much. But in terms of the ability to even feed, let's say, client calls into a GenAI interface and then pull out particular keywords or concerns and then use that in order to change your whole entire content marketing strategy. It seems like there are some major implications there.
Yes, and certainly, and I would say to further that example, at this stage with chatbot conversations, it can rephrase and rewrite personalized responses specific to that potential buyer in their tone of voice, which is also exciting. So this chart emphasizes the use of GenAI at this stage. And according to this Botco survey, more than 40% of marketers use GenAI to create email copy. I will add to, not on this particular chart, that a December 2022 study by Presato found that AI-generated subject lines had a 68% better click-through rate than human-generated variants. And in that particular campaign, the better click-through rate translated to a potential incremental revenue opportunity of $5.8 million. Our use case at this stage is with Rippler Group. They provide fractional CMO services, growth marketing, and on-demand marketing expertise, mainly for B2B seed to Series C tech startups. One of their clients is a human resource client, and they use Gong, which is a GenAI solution for sales conversations. And they extract buyer questions from their CRM platform. And then they use ChatGPT to define and categorize the most common questions. And this fuels their content creations for sales training and for their marketing collateral. Now I'll talk about how GenAI can quicken the decision-making process for buyers looking to make a purchase, leading to higher conversion rates for brands. So again, from the customer-facing perspective, GenAI can identify products most likely to be of interest and deliver targeted recommendations tailored to the buyer's preferences. It can provide real-time support and guidance. It can offer pricing and promotional products most likely to be in the buyer's budget. And it can provide information about shipping options, payment methods, and order status. And then behind the scenes for the brand, GenAI can assist sales associates by providing real-time insights and suggestions during customer interactions. It can help them better understand the customer's needs and preferences, and it can help brands follow up with messaging to customers who have abandoned their shopping carts. It can offer personalized discounts and promotions and provide recommendations for related products. So our use case at this stage is with Tapestry, parent company of brands such as Coach and Kate Spade and Stuart Weitzman. They use Presato's dynamic motivation, which was released just last month. This new solution helps transform static online experiences, the cart experiences, into personalized paths to purchase. It can represent the best performing words and phrases to each individual based on web session and or first-party data, and serve the most impactful content at the right time during the customer journey. So Tapestry uses it, you can see here, to generate words and phrases based on the buyer's browsing behavior, preferences, and other factors in real time during the cart and checkout experience. And then these Gen AI-driven personalized paths can reduce cart abandonment and to deliver a 3 to 5% increase in e-commerce revenues. Improving retention rates. So Gen AI can help boost customer satisfaction, which can improve retention rates. And from a customer-facing perspective, Gen AI can help resolve customer issues in multiple languages with faster and more accurate answers. It can offer personalized assistance based on preferences, purchases, and past customer service interactions to improve resolution rates and reduce customer frustration. It can also offer additional products that complement an existing purchase, proactively increasing the opportunities for cross-selling and upselling. And it can continually engage customers with relevant content and resources. And behind the scenes, Gen AI really helps scale customer support and assistance and reduces the workload of customer support representatives. It can help surface and rapidly resolve the most complex cases with what's called swarming. This is a collaborative-based approach to resolutions rather than the traditional tiered escalation-based process. And GenAI can use a large language model, an LLM, to summarize and simplify technical content of a complex topic that would otherwise be hard for customers to understand. This can make content much easier to read to certain types of customers. And brands can also train an LLM like Meta's Llama or GPT Neo X20B that's unique to the customers, or unique to the company's domain-specific data, and provide it to customers as a chat interface where they can get specific answers from the company's knowledge base. And so a great example of this is with Acrolinks. It's an AI platform that uses unique linguistic analytics engine to read all content and provide immediate guidance to improve it. And their client, Arm Holdings, a British semiconductor and software design company, its primary business is in the design of processors. Arm applied Acrolinks to refresh its outdated and dense technical manuals with AI and natural language processing. Previously, there was no guidance on how to present this code in manuals, which can be up to 6,000 pages long. Now Arm's 70+ technical writers publish manuals in multiple languages that are easy to read, consistent in style and tone, and happen to be SEO optimized, resulting in much improved customer self-service. And at our final stage of the life cycle, GenAI can help build long-term loyalty, drive recurring revenue growth, and affordably turn loyal customers into advocates. And it does this on the customer-facing side. It can encourage customers to share user-generated content, provide positive reviews, and it can offer engaging social media content that fosters that brand loyalty. It can offer personalized referral incentives by skimming product reviews or customer service conversations. It can identify and reward loyal customers who are likely to recommend their brand to friends and family. And I mean, overall, GenAI can foster a better connection and help promote a stronger CX because of the ability to create these personalized experiences. And then for the brand, GenAI can capture and analyze these chatbot conversations and sentiment patterns for continuous improvements. It can immediately mitigate poor customer service experiences with personalized solutions. For instance, in my case, a meal voucher via an apology email or text message after a delayed flight, for instance. GenAI can create text and video case studies and client testimonials. It can automatically alert customer service teams about positive engagements via email and social media so they can reward these happy customers. And GenAI can positively influence the relationship with customers and bring them closer to their customers' desired experience because GenAI can help them more fully understand their customer needs. And our final, but one of the best and most famous examples of this encouragement is from Coca-Cola. They launched an AI platform with DALL-E 2 and GPT-4, which was built exclusively for Coca-Cola and by OpenAI and Bain & Company. This platform showcased the Create Real Magic contest, and artists were given the chance to generate and submit original works using dozens of Coke branded elements for the opportunity to be featured on Coke's digital billboards in Times Square and Piccadilly Circus.
You know, Kelsey, one thing that I think is really interesting about this is, we actually covered this for clients. Coke's creative strategy head said that brands should be investing in AI instead of Web3, which I thought was interesting because it was at the Web3 Marketing Summit. And it just seems that, a lot of people are kind of wondering, is AI the new metaverse? And I mean, I'm curious what you think. I kind of think that actually it's very, very different for a number of different reasons. But what's your quick take?
Yeah, they are very different, but I would say that they are interconnected. I will say that AI is super popular and hyped right now, mainly because, and I think it's going to stick around that way because it's very practical and it provides immediate benefits to the general public, especially with Gen AI and content creation. But again, I think they complement each other. I think that Web3 can address challenges of securing valuable information, for instance, blockchain, and that has become much more urgent with the rise of AI. So if I were to sum up Gen AI's strongest potential at every stage, it would be with personalization. Personalized content, personalized recommendations and promotions that match specific needs and budgets and preferences, personalized experiences that exceed customer expectations. So let me just share, how can brands capitalize on Gen AI? First off, I would say keep business objectives in mind. By monitoring and measuring how Gen AI applications perform across the customer lifecycle, brands can be sure to design experiences that meet the needs of customers and achieve business objectives and growth rates. Secondly, provide guidance and provide guidelines for human oversight. Gen AI still has a long way to go to ensure accuracy, attribution, and emotion. In customer support, for instance, Gen AI outputs may not respond appropriately to complex situations. It needs, you need to have that empathy, or maybe you need a human rep to incorporate specific domain knowledge on the fly. Thirdly, foster a culture of innovation and invest in training, and be ready and able to change and adapt as this technology rapidly evolves. You should encourage experimentation to help promote new Gen AI applications that can provide new ways to enhance performance and ensure positive customer experiences, and definitely help employees develop AI skills and knowledge, including effective prompts and context and data analysis techniques. And very important here is to consider ethical implications and to monitor the regulatory landscape. Ensure data privacy and security concerns are addressed and that algorithms are developed to be unbiased. In many cases, use proprietary AI tools and solutions that can ensure compliance with all relevant regulations and privacy laws. And as you scale up your Gen AI initiatives and applications, invest in AI tech that integrates well with your MarTech stack. And ideally, your AI solutions will accomplish more for less with measurable outcomes and great ROI. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Jeremy for further discussion with Karthik on embracing brand new AI solutions that do support the above, like Adobe Sensei.
That was really great. Thank you, Kelsey. I learned a lot. And before we get to your questions live, we've had some good ones so far. Please keep them coming. I'd love to bring back our special guest, Karthik Muralidharan, Principal Product Marketing Manager at Adobe. Welcome again.
Thank you, Jeremy. I really enjoyed hearing those insights from Kelsey, since they're very consistent with what we're hearing from our customers and the opportunities they see Gen AI can help solve, especially when it comes to personalization. So now I'd like to transition a little into how Adobe has been thinking about AI in general and the journey we've been on leading into Gen AI. So at Adobe, we've been committed to AI for over a decade now, delivering hundreds of capabilities with our Adobe Sensei framework. And we first began by natively integrating AI features within our applications. And this included capabilities across analytics, personalization, and even content. And then next, we built AI as a service on our experience platform. And these AI models work horizontally across the Experience Cloud and are shared by all the applications to ensure consistent experiences throughout the customer journey. And the evolution of that now has really been to what we call Adobe Sensei GenAI, which is really an assistant for marketers and other customer experience teams for a variety of use cases. Now, this can span from asset, copy, content generation, but to also personalization and audience creation workflows. And the goal really is for customers to be able to move seamlessly between these features and the existing AI features we have already built in the workflows they use every day. And this is actually very important to us. It's really making sure that these capabilities and these Gen AI services are fitting into the workflows that our customers are familiar with and like to work in on a daily basis. And then lastly, we have Adobe Firefly, which is really our new family of creative generative AI models, which we have now built focused first on image and text generation. And hopefully some of you have been able to play around with the beta, which is available to the public, and a really great example of how we're using Adobe's creative heritage and all the content that we house to really build our own generative AI models for a variety of use cases. And so now I'd like to talk a little bit more about our approach and really what is important to customers and some of the things that Kelsey highlighted, why it really resonates. For one, our approach to Gen AI is really centered on marketers and empowering them to be more efficient and effective. And what that means for us is really accomplishing three different things. One is we want to make sure we're supporting a method that's on brand and at scale. So our technology is built to ensure that what is generated from our Gen AI tools has brand consistency across all of our applications. And this is done through an adaptive customer-specific layer that is built on top of existing large language models. And when it comes to content, what this means is that the assets, the imagery that you create fit your brand styles and guidelines. And even the copy you build and generate is in the correct tone of voice. It follows similar language patterns that your brand uses or would like to use across all your properties. So this is really important to us in making sure that every content that's created is really on brand and can be created at scale. The second is this idea of having a co-pilot for digital experience design and delivery. So we want to make sure that marketers have the ability to modify, assemble, and enrich what is returned as an output by Gen AI. And the goal really is to accelerate ideation and pave the way for them to be as creative and innovative as possible. We want to inject Gen AI into the correct workflows and ways that marketers typically work and provide them with that assistant, with that set of capabilities that allows them to be more efficient, to optimize existing content they have, but to also provide that creative input into what they could be building and what would be performing well. So this includes capabilities such as Firefly, which we're directly integrating into our Experience Cloud and the marketing workflow, not just for creatives, but also things such as providing copywriting tools across any editing interface. So in Adobe Experience Manager sites, we're building an interface that allows you to use Gen AI to generate new copy, adjust the tone, all of this done in a way that is consistent with your brand guidelines and tone. And then third, the really important part is that it is enterprise ready and commercially safe. Now, for Sensei Gen AI, all the enterprise grade rules and standards our customers already leverage in the Experience Cloud will apply to our Gen AI capabilities as well. And a great example of this is also Firefly is trained on Adobe Stock's 360 million plus high value assets, as well as openly licensed and public domain content. So what this means is that it is built on content that has been pre-approved, that you can be sure meets all your enterprise standards, and is secure and ready for commercial use. And this is a really key aspect for us because as all these models emerge and as our customers start leveraging these technologies, we want to make sure they can do it in a safe and commercially viable way. And with that, I'll pass it back to Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you so much. There was a lot there in a short time period. I just want to ask you one or two quick questions. What does Adobe see as the biggest opportunity for brands to leverage AI? Where to get started?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jeremy. I think we see it really in personalization. And I think this echoes a lot of what Kelsey had mentioned up top. And the reason is personalization traditionally has been very much a data problem. But what we're seeing and where customers are struggling today is how do you actually scale content creation in a way that supports hyper personalization? If you want to deliver some piece of content that's really relevant to a specific person, that means you need to create infinitely more content than you did before. And you also need to be able to create content in a way that ensures it's going to be effective and drive the results you want. And so that's where Gen AI can really help scale that creation, help marketers create more variations than they ever have before to support those personalization needs.
Okay, so then follow up from that. What are some of the immediate use cases that you're seeing from customers right now?
Yeah, so one interesting use case we've heard is this idea of culturization. As many brands, especially when you're global brands, you have multiple regions you support. Oftentimes, the only way they're able to support these different regions is through translation. And the first step is always let's translate the content, and that's good enough. But what we're seeing brands struggle with is different markets have different needs. They respond to content differently. They require different types of engagement. Some regions like more formal tones of language, some like more informal. And so Gen AI is really helping some customers with this idea of how do we create more culturally relevant content and actually tailor the content for these different regions instead of just focusing on the translation piece. And I think that's an immediate use case that drives a lot of value for many brands we work with.
So then that naturally makes me wonder about content and asset management, because you're going to have, if you're a brand, so many more assets in the future than you previously had to manage, right? So I'm wondering what types of tools is Adobe investing in building in that regard?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think when a Firefly, as I mentioned, is our own creative model, which really helps brands create net new variations of content and scale that asset creation, that content creation. But what's also important is we're embedding those capabilities into the workflows in the digital asset management solution. So making sure that both the marketing team and the creatives building the content can collaborate and identify what are the best variations to use, what are the new ones they should be creating, and make that process much more seamless. And then from a copy and content side, when you think about any experience, there's obviously copy involved as well as just imagery. And so for us, what we're building is we're building tools directly in our editing interfaces for Adobe Experience Manager that allow marketers to go in, put in a set of basic inputs around the content they'd like to generate, or put in existing content and have Gen AI rewrite it for them, rewrite it to be engaging, rewrite it to be at a seventh grade reading level, and or summarize the piece of content, elaborate on a piece of content. And so we're building those tools directly into the editing interfaces so that marketers, as they're writing this copy, as they're working on the web page directly, can start to leverage Gen AI and create those outputs on the fly.
Hey, that was a lot of really great stuff in a short time period. I'd love to get to some live questions maybe for the both of you. And we've had a lot of really great ones come in. One thing that, we've talked about so many great things about generative AI. It's going to change everything. The world will be perfect, right? But I like this question about, are there any potential pitfalls or challenges that brands should be cautious of when implementing generative AI? Because especially with the nascent technology, I imagine there are some things that can go wrong.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So, I mean, really the key is to have the ability to change and adapt as this technology rapidly evolves. So marketing, CX leaders, HR leaders, everybody in the company should really smartly lean into this innovation and experimentation, and stay mindful of particularly ethical and privacy concerns. And again, it's really important to train employees with AI skills and knowledge. But yes, you absolutely have to be careful. It's not perfect. There's a lot of benefits to it. And, I may say that like Gen AI can do something, but it's really with the support of humans as well that really helps it succeed as a technology.
Karthik, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think echo what Kelsey mentioned, but also, Gen AI is a tool at the end of the day, and a tool is as effective as you know you're able to use it. And I think it's not going to solve all your problems right away, but it's really important to identify what are the challenges you have as an organization. Is it in scaling content creation? Is it in adjusting that content for specific needs? There are a lot of applications, and it's easy to get lost in all the possibilities of Gen AI. So really honing in on what are the immediate problem areas it can solve, and how can your marketers or your users use it as a tool to help solve those problems more effectively. So being very mindful of that approach, and pursuing the right areas to focus on.
There was another question actually that we got that I can quickly answer, but Kelsey had some really great examples before. And, are any of those sponsored and all? No, there are just so many great interviews that I think she conducts on a daily basis. So I got that one taken care of. Another one is, how would one go about picking a Gen AI software to use? And I think that this ties into that last question that we were talking about. I'll just quickly jump in. I think, Karthik's spot on about thinking about what you're trying to do as an organization, and then figuring out what are the tool sets that are going to allow you to achieve that, faster and at scale, rather than, and it is probably a challenging time for marketers, I imagine, with so many different interesting tools where you just want to try everything, but you can't lose sight of your business objectives. And I'm curious what the both of you think on that regard.
I totally agree, Jeremy. It's not about what's popular now. It's about what your business needs. And, for instance, Karthik talked about needing to scale. ChatGPT just won't be enough for enterprises, nor will it have the important regulations for businesses that handle sensitive data, handle sensitive customer data or proprietary information.
I know Karthik's answer might just be, type adobe.com into your browser.
Yeah.
That is a great answer. Happy to lead with that. But really, I think it comes back to what I said before: identifying the correct pain point, but also thinking about the way your teams work today, the workflows they use. You shouldn't. There are a lot of applications, and you shouldn't pursue one just because of what you think you can bring to your organization. Understand how it'll fit in your current workflow, how your users will benefit from it, how they like to work, and think about that first, and then pursue the technology that matches and can deliver that value.
We had I actually really like this one. We had a question: is it possible for Gen AI to humanize messaging? And I mean, I would think that in theory, if it can get rid of some of your grunt work and free you up for that value added, analysis that a human being can do to bring to a project, I would think yes, but curious what you both think.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think it's strange because you want that authenticity, and certainly you want all the content itself to be accurate and ethically unbiased. But what's interesting is that you can have a situation where you're, for instance, creating subject lines, and AI or Gen AI can humanize a subject line sometimes better than a human because it takes out that subjectivity. So there was a case with Chase Bank that I mentioned in my report, and they looked at a vocabulary database filled with over 1 million words that trigger emotional appeal in consumers. And then they used Gen AI to create that marketing copy. And for instance, one of their lines was access cash from the equity in your home. That was written by a human. The AI generated version, which didn't have that subjectiveness of the marketer as to what that marketer thought would be a good line. The AI version read, "It's true, you can unlock cash from the equity in your home." And it performed better. So it's just subtle little things like that that Gen AI can do at an incredibly rapid pace and at scale to make personalized copy resonate better and bring in that ROI.
So Another one I want to ask you, and Karthik, I know you can handle the tough one, so I want to throw this to you. AI-generated imagery has to be sourced from existing art and photography. How are the original producers being credited or compensated in general? And then what are the ethics behind the sourcing? And do you have any perspective as a company?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. It's an important one. And for us, really, when we talk about our Firefly models and our generative AI imagery models, they're really based on Adobe stock, as I mentioned, which is our repository of content. And for images to be in Adobe stock, there are contributors who contribute to that library, who are credited with that content. And so these models are being built on top of content that has already been provided and recognized for that contribution from the contributors that built it. And so, for us, that's really important. So any of the images we do create net new from GenAI, understanding that the source of those images is content that's not just randomly sitting on the web somewhere, but it is been built by contributors and recognized for those contributions.
Another one that we have that I think is really interesting is how is the buyer, like in-house marketers and agency relationship, how is that, being shifting, let's say, slightly as a result of generative AI?
I can jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, Karthik, I was just
No,
going to say
love
for
to
my
hear your input. Yeah.
for my interviews, it's a bit of a let's see how it all plays out. It's an evolving relationship from what I see. I think there's a lot of benefits that agencies in particular are seeing with Gen AI, and sometimes brands are maybe a little unsure, but also vice versa. But Karthik, please jump in and provide your response.
Yeah, I don't think it's shifting in one direction necessarily or the other. I've seen instances where agencies have really enhanced the type of services they can provide now using GenAI. So because they're more efficient with their own marketing or copywriters, they can provide faster turnarounds and customers are happier that way. And I've also seen customers where they bring more of it in-house because one of the things that the reason they go with an agency is because you don't have enough folks internally to really drive that content creation. But now you can bring more of that in-house because Gen AI can help scale that. So I don't think it's necessarily one way or another. Both models have benefited tremendously from it.
So, speaking about like what are the best ways in terms of going forward from a content generation standpoint, how can people balance accuracy with personalization at scale, like you both have been talking about? And one person asked about how ChatGPT has been known to provide incorrect information and will even admit it was wrong when asked. So how do you navigate that as a marketer?
Well, I would say you might want to consider tools like Adobe because you're using information that is not just out in the wild. And I mean, in general, ChatGPT is good for certain things. I don't think it's great for proprietary information. It's not great for things that are with sensitive data. And absolutely, the attribution, that's one of my key takeaways is that you need that human oversight and some guidelines there to protect what you put out there as your own.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's important to have that layer, so speaking about what Adobe's approach, it really is important to build that layer on top of, if you are using an existing model like ChatGPT, how do you ensure that what it creates is consistent, is okay with the rest of your brand guidelines and content you're pushing out? It's accurate. So that is what that additional layer we built on top is built to help ensure. But I think what Kelsey mentioned too is ultimately the marketer is always going to have some level of oversight. I don't think at this point AI should be treated, or Gen AI should be treated as, it gives you an answer and you can immediately plug and play. It really is important to have that level of oversight, to have that ability for a marketer to see what the output is and then make judgment on whether it is accurate, whether it needs to be changed or adjusted, and before submitting it for publication. So that level of oversight is going to continue to exist, and I think it's important.
So maybe we've got time for one or two more questions. We had an interesting one about who's going to benefit the most from these types of efficiencies and ability to scale up? Is it going to be more small businesses that are going to find more value in terms of efficiency and cost reduction, or will it be larger firms?
Well, I could say that all firms could benefit from this, but in different ways. For instance, enterprise needing to scale, it's a matter of volume and being able to personalize at such a large scale, I think is a challenge that GenAI can help with. For small businesses that may not, to Karthik's point, have in-house marketers, it can help alleviate that challenge and provide more assistance for marketers to do their job and not just the grunt work that a lot of GenAI is helping take care of right now.
Exactly. I think what's exciting is that every brand, every customer, any industry, any size benefits. I think they benefit in slightly different ways, but really the idea is that it helps them reach their goals much faster. So a small mid-market brand may not be concerned with hyper personalization and one-to-one experiences. But guess what? They're struggling to get just basic campaigns out the door. It may take a week, and now they can do it in a day or two. And so I think, and if for a large brand, really the goal is how do I deliver a very specific experience to an individual based on all the data we have on them, their past behavior, their purchase behavior, their interactions with our customer support team, and delivering that hyper personalized experience might be their focus, and that's where GenAI is going to really help. So I think what's exciting is it doesn't matter regulated industry, unregulated, mid-market, enterprise. This is something that's going to help everyone really solve their business goal.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I think it's all about your competitive set, and are you going to be a laggard, or are you going to invest in figuring out what are the right technologies that are going to allow you to outcompete? How do you put the right processes in place? Absolutely. And I have a great one to wrap with, I think. How do you both think that AI is going to change the advertising industry within the next year?
I think it's going to drastically change the industry. I think it's already changing the advertising industry. But I'll be doing my annual report on ad spend soon, so we'll see how much Gen AI is affecting that spend. But I think it's significantly going to affect the industry.
Yeah, I think it will be too, and I think it's with Gen AI, we can be a lot more iterative and learn a lot faster about what ads work, how the spend is best allocated. And so I think companies will be much more efficient with their ad spend because they can take a more iterative approach and testing with Gen AI capabilities. So definitely, I think it's one industry that's going to change quite a bit.
Spot on. I mean, I gotta just say, with the briefing that my team puts out every day, one of the things that we're always covering is how ad platforms are trying to improve the CX to get people to throw more ad dollars into these platforms. And I think you're going to see more and more of that as time goes on, thanks to AI, personalization at scale. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. But thanks again to Kelsey for joining us, and a very special thanks to Karthik and to the team at Adobe. Our studio crew at the eMarketer production team also deserves a huge thank you for making this webinar possible. As promised, we're going to be emailing you a link to today's slides along with a full recording of the session. So keep an eye on your inbox for that. Keep on refreshing. And before we wrap up, let me just take a quick moment to tell you what's happening across eMarketer's media channels. First, you can register for upcoming live analyst and tech talk webinars at emarketer.com/webinars. On the audio side, don't forget to tune in to Behind the Numbers, eMarketer's daily podcast, which you can find anywhere you listen to podcasts. And finally, please check out our newsletters. We've got a couple of great options across a number of categories. There's something for everyone. And if you haven't already signed up, you can do so at emarketer.com/newsletters. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.